All right, we are back here on the Dan Scott Show. We're live, as always. Well, I'll say as always, usually here in the radio booth of the football building. It's where my office is, overlooking Paris Mountain. You get a little bit of a view of that washed-out, sun-splashed backside of the stadium there by camera. The big weekend for Furman basketball worked on both ends. We're talking about the men's win at Greensboro, and now we're going to spend some in-depth time talking about the women's home victory here over Chattanooga, which, again, has been the standard setter in this conference for low these many years. Jackie Carson, as you can see, our high-text graphics people, Jackie, they're right on it, ready.
I like that.
They're ready. She is here to talk to us. Get that mic up a little bit.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Well, it's good to be here.
I guess, it's one of those deals of getting so wrapped up in what we were doing with the men's broadcast and being on the road for a while. I saw you last week, and the first time I had heard that you had suffered an injury.
Yes. Someone needed to remind me that I'm getting old. I just step out on Timmons Court. It reminds me of my playing days. So I ruptured my Achilles right before Christmas, and I was being on the scout team. We were preparing for Richmond, and we don't have any practice players during Christmas break, so our staff is usually the practice players going against our girls, and so we were very successful. I probably had about 25 points before I went down, and I think I was feeling myself a little too much, and when I tried to drive, I just went down, and my team thought I slipped, and I looked at my staff. I had Achilles problems in college. Both of them were pretty bad, and so I just looked. I said, it's gone. And so anyone who knows me, my next comment is, what shoes am I going to wear now for all these games? So it was it wasn't really painful. It's just an inconvenience. Yeah. My husband has been awesome. He's been the family Uber driver because it's my right foot, so I couldn't drive for 4 weeks, and getting the girls to and fro. So it's been interesting, but it's been good.
Yeah, you're kind of, I guess, walking pretty much now in a boot, but you're using a little scooter to help you get around as well.
Yeah, Ruby is my scooter, and Ruby has a pretty good record. So I can walk around, but I'm still going to probably ride Ruby out until they take Ruby back. And so because she's been adopted into our team, so Ruby's record is about 8-2 right now.
Nice.
So I'm very superstitious. So a lot of times I just ride out on Ruby just because last time I did, we won. So I can walk, but Ruby's going to stick around for a little bit.
Usually it's baseball players and baseball coaches that get the reputation for being the most superstitious. But the longer I do this, I find that especially among coaches, if something's working, they're gonna keep doing it. So maybe Ruby needs her own locker now.
I absolutely. She may. She absolutely. I mean, she's a well-known name on social media in our team, and my kids. Where's Ruby? And get Ruby out the trunk. So Ruby's pretty special.
That's fantastic. What I also like is you knew how many points you had when you went down.
I did. And I normally never kept points, but our girls, I think, sometimes need a little reminder that I'm not so girly all the time, that when I play, I'm a little different. So they see me as just the old Coach Carson, and I have to remind them about Jackie Smith that used to play at Furman.
Give them a little history lesson.
I did.
I love it. Well, I obviously, whether it's in the heels of the boot, you're doing the job on the sideline. By the way, even before we get into the game, how did the Dress Like Coach Carson promotion go Saturday?
It was hilarious. And I don't know. I didn't get to see a lot of the sorority ones. I rarely look out into the stands or anything, but I walk out of the locker room, and the very first person I see is Zoe Buddy, and she nailed it. We almost had on the same outfit, same color scheme. She had on a boot.
Did she really?
She did. Zoe's Mike Buddy, our AD's athletic director's daughter, and he said, I was really trying to find a scooter, and I said, I don't doubt it. So she absolutely nailed her hair the same as mine. If it was longer, it was spot on. So it was pretty hilarious. Hats off to our marketing department for thinking of that.
That's funny. That's fantastic. And then it helps after a fun promotion like that you go out and play the way that you did.
Yes.
And to knock off, again, the team that's been the standard setter in this conference for, gosh, how many years? Chattanooga's been there forever.
Yeah. It might have helped that we had so many Jackie Carsons in the stands. We had a whole bunch of coaches out there. So, yeah, it was an outstanding win. And a lot of people said, they just didn't look like Chattanooga. No, we just didn't look like Furman. That was the first time that we really attacked and did everything top to bottom like we should. Our defense was stellar that game, and our girls played their hearts out. And what we said in pregame offensively is that everybody who does whatever you do, go do it in this game. If you're a driver, go drive and be aggressive. If you're a shooter, shoot it and be aggressive. And everybody's got to box out. Jasmine Joyner, the center for Chattanooga, is a senior. She leads the country in blocks. So we're like, let's just go at her. If she's gonna block it, she's gonna block it. Averages almost over 4 blocks a game. So our girls, this was the first time just everyone was aggressive and really locked into our game plan. So it was a great win. That is a great program. That's the standard of the Southern Conference, and we look to catch up.
One of the things I'm looking at here, just on the raw numbers from the stat box, 2 things jump out. You hold them to below 33% shooting,
right,
and then you out-rebound them by 11.
Yes, we had 15 offensive rebounds, which we have been harping on. That was one of the things. Our girls know I cannot stand people who don't rebound. It's just that's how I had most of my success at Furman. If you took away my rebounds, I probably averaged 3 points a game or something when I played. But rebounding is attitude, effort, energy and effort. And so they really attacked it. They attacked the boards. Everybody was in there rebounding. And then, again, you have to keep Jasmine Joyner off the boards. And we did a great job of boxing out and boxing out. Their guards are tremendous rebounders. Chattanooga is special because 1 through 5 averages almost 10 points a game. So they have so many weapons. So we knew everyone had to do their job. And everyone had to box out. And they did that, And so I told them they better be careful because now I know they're capable. So we're going to have to ride that all the way out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, once you set a standard,
it's met.
There's no going back.
That's right. We got to raise the bar.
Jackie Carson joining us on the show, talking about her team's big win over Chattanooga. And you told me something during the break that I would love for you to share with us during the interview, and that is, in your mind, you lost a close game to East Tennessee State on Thursday.
On Thursday, yes.
And you told me that you thought if you don't lose that game, you don't beat Chattanooga. Why?
Right. ETSU, we did so many things opposite of what we were supposed to do, especially defensively. We play pack line defense, so we got to be in the gaps. You got to be in help side. We didn't do a great job of that, and their scorers really killed us on Thursday. And so we had kind of we had a good talk on Friday. We watched the film of the game, and I said we need to be overly critical. And we went through everyone's roles, and they know I'm very, very honest. And so I went through and I told Whitney Bunn, you have to be the scorer. It's on your shoulder. And I told Sierra Carter, you have to be a scorer. You have to defend. You have to do what we're asking and our principles. And we looked at that film, and that film was glaring over the deficiencies we had and why we lost that game to ETSU. So if we had won that, our girls probably would have been a little too comfortable heading into Chat. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have been able to make the adjustments that we made just by showing people maybe lack of effort and lack of execution after ETSU. And they took it personal in Friday's practice. They really approached it with a great attitude in Saturday's shoot-around. So I was very confident that we were going to come in and have a good showing against Chat.
Whitney has been – she's your leader. She has the ball in her hands. She's the quote-unquote coach on the floor as the point guard. And her mindset and mentality has really matured along with her game because you said, again to me, but in the break – if you had told her 2 years ago what you told her in that film session, that it would not have been.
Cried.
Yeah, it would not have been. I was going to say it wouldn't have been received so well. Well, what is it about her that's allowed her to come along so far so fast?
Right. At some point, the light switch came on with Whitney, and. We've had some tremendous talent in our program the last 4 years particularly. You had a Brittany Hodges, Sarah Durdell, who they were natural leaders. You had Holly Wilkins, Kelsey Ellis. We can go down the line, some of the people that were in our program. And Whitney could kind of stay back in their shadows. Well, this year, she's the one that everyone is looking at. One of our freshmen, Tiara Hodges, we had a team meeting, and she said, Whitney, I came to this program because I said I get to play with her. And I get to do the things that I see out of Whitney Bunn, and I get to play with her, and I think that really resonated with Whitney, and so she just decided she was going to lead this year. She doesn't get frazzled. She used to get frazzled a lot when people would try to double team and and come at her and press her the whole game. Right now, she's our press break. I said the first turnover is on me. Go get it and just go dribble through it. And so Chat tried to press us the whole game. She just dribbled through it. The other ones, do you want us to come up? No, I want you to get out of the way and let her dribble through it. And she doesn't turn the ball over. And she doesn't have as many assists this year because we depend on her shooting the ball, and she doesn't have the same amount of scores around her right now because our team is so young. But attitude-wise, everything about that young lady has it's shocked me. I'm like a proud coach, proud mama. I get on her harder than anyone. Everything is on her shoulders. If our posts make a turnover, I said, it's on you. You should have fed it to her better. And so I can't believe how much she's grown. And I'm just really thrilled for her and proud of her.
It's interesting that can be a lot of pressure on someone when a younger player says, I came to this program because of you, because
right.
I wanted to play with you.
Right.
And instead of I guess the pressure of that getting to her, she seems to have embraced it.
Yeah, I didn't know how she was going to take that because that is a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And Witt's, it's either way. She loves pressure situations, but sometimes she doesn't want it all on her. She wants to be able to dish it out, literally to her teammates and spread it across. But probably the last month and a half, she's taking it on her shoulders, and she'll come over and she'll give me some feedback, and I'm like, okay, you go run it, okay. And so our relationship, it's special because Whitney's very quiet. She's probably the quietest point guard I've ever coached and even been around. But she knows the game so well. So I just can't say enough about in terms of how she's grown and the relationship she has with her teammates, particularly the younger kids, and how they look up to her. That's usually a role that she doesn't want to play, and she's accepted it really well.
Well, is it a coincidence then that as she has been playing the way she's playing in the last month or so, that the team is playing that way? Because at one juncture you were 4-9
right.
overall,
yeah,
and you went on a 6-game winning streak to get above 500. You're now 5-2. In conference, halfway through the conference
right.
season. So is it a coincidence that the team is playing that way now because she's playing that way? I wouldn't think so.
No, absolutely not. That's exactly why we're playing so well. She leads us. We go, I tell her all the time, we go as you go. At practice, if you're mopey, the whole practice turns mopey. If you're having a great attitude, the practice is great. If you push the tempo, we push the tempo. If you don't run, we don't run. And that's one of our main offensive weapons is transition. And she determines everything that we do and how we do it. So the eyes are on her. She knows that now. She accepts that role now. I think she kind of relishes in it in the last few games. And what people fail to realize, she also guards the best player on the other team if they're the guard. So she not only has all the pressure offensively, but she has the pressure defensively because she's always guarding the best player on the other team.
Yeah, she had 23 of her 25 in the win over Chattanooga in the second half. So
yeah.
She decided to kind of pick it up and roll.
And I didn't even have to say anything to her.
Yeah.
So at halftime, we kept it really basic and just said we got to start rolling. And we were able to get Jasmine Joyner, their post player, in foul trouble. And and hats off to Chattanooga, they're an outstanding program, but I don't see very many people in this league being able to guard Whitney Bunn. And, and so when she decides to take over, she can take over anytime she wants. I looked at it, it didn't take me to halftime to realize she only had 2 points. That's how well the other players on our team were playing. And, to still have that type of halftime, I think we had the lead. I never know the score until the end. I think we still had the lead, and she had 2 points. So imagine, again, when she woke up, what the result was going to be.
Now, as well as she's played and as much of the load that you ask her to carry, obviously she can't do it by herself.
Right.
So who else is really playing well right now?
We challenged Sierra Carter around Christmas time, and her biggest challenge, and again, we said this to her, and I don't think she minds sharing this, but Sierra has always been, in the last 2 years, been a top 10 scorer in this league, and she's 1 or 2 in rebounding. But no one ever talks about her, and I don't know if it's necessarily being overshadowed by Whitney or just that she's got to add some more firepower to our program. And so with those type of numbers, you should be all conference kid. And she's never even in the conversation. We nominate her every year, and somehow she's not a top 10 kid, as far as all conference. So she takes that personal. She's been in the gym more than in her 2.5 years I've ever seen her in the gym. She's taken it personal. She wants this program to succeed. She wants to succeed. She comes from a basketball family, so it's easy to get on her, and she's matured a lot. C is she's always been a little sensitive. I can get on her, and she'll drop her shoulders. But this year, she's like, "I got you, coach," and no problem, my bad. She responds, and that's the toughest thing about coaching females, because early on, you got to make sure you're not damaging what's inside. Sometimes females hear the tone rather than the message. And
see, I'm glad you said that, and I didn't.
Yeah,
but
it's one of those things I can say.
I have two daughters.
So you do.
So I know I was the only male in the house.
That's right.
So
my husband feels that way.
I understand exactly.
That's right.
What you're talking about.
Right, and she's one of those that would hear the tone, and I don't yell a lot, but when I do, they're like, I'm like, oh gosh, did I do the right thing? But Sierra's been outstanding, and she's leading, and she's vocal, and again, another player that knows the game really well. And Whitney and Sierra combined have helped elevate. We have 2 freshmen in the starting lineup. A lot of people don't realize that. Lejeay Davidson is averaging. She gave us a huge spark. She was the reason we were in the game against Chattanooga. I think she had 12 points at the half. She's an outstanding threat. You have to follow her around because she can catch on fire at any point. And then we have Tiara Hodges, who a big guard that gives a great spark, and again, 2 freshmen in the starting lineup, and Lejeay I think is averaging double-digit points per game right now, and then you have Tiara Wood and our post players who are doing great things. T's a great rebounder. I honestly think she helps tire the opponent. She's so strong in the post, like Jasmine Joy. I think she tires them out, and then we send Deonisha Jackson in to kind of freshen, give a fresh perspective, because Chattanooga plays, oh my gosh, their starting lineup plays pretty high minutes all across the board. So it's been a team effort. We talked about that. Even the players that, when we talked about roles, even the players that don't play a lot, your role is huge. You have to give the energy to the kids that are on the floor. Our subs have to come in, and nothing can drop down. Allison Beasley, talk about a senior that has to, she was injured the first, I think it was 6-7 games of the year, and has to come off the bench as a senior. And this is a kid who started her whole career. And the way that she has just been very special in her role of giving energy, coming off, and she's always solid defensively, which she'll get a kick out of it because she hates defense. But she is the best help side defender. She's always in the right place, and she does everything that she's supposed to do. But talk about a kid that's unselfish, because she's coming off the bench her senior year after an injury that slowed her down, and still doing the things that we need her to do. But it's just not as visible to everyone else like it used to be when she was knocking down threes all over the place. So I can go up and down across the board with our girls and how they've overcome so much adversity, our schedule, and just early losses, and they've done a great job.
Yeah, somebody sat here a minute ago and told me that she may have accidentally overscheduled this season.
Well, gosh, it seemed like, we have, I would guess it's a veteran team. Looking back on it, it's not so veteran when you have 7 newcomers.
I was going to say, it's almost like there's no in between. You have a group of veterans and a group of rookies, and really nothing in between.
That's exactly, and that in between, you realize how important that in between is when you're playing 4 A-10 schools, an SEC opponent, ACC opponent. We got dropped by about 7 opponents at the end of last year, and so everyone looks at our schedule. Why'd you do that? Well, we didn't have much choice. But the WNIT was an experience I think our girls needed. Being invited was very special. We hadn't been invited since my sophomore year, so that's a preseason NIT invite for our university and for our program is a huge step in the right direction of where this program is going. We did not win. We played 3 close games. Every game that we've had, it's been, no blowouts, so it was a learning. We started 2 freshmen our very first game of the season and our transfer. So we had 3 players on the floor that had never been a part of this program in game situations. So looking back on it, I was like, what did I do? But I think that's what prepares us for SoCon play and being 5-2. Our league this year in the Southern Conference, it is the hardest it's ever been. There are no gimme games or no easy games. Right. You can't look at one opponent and say, well, at least we have that one coming up that we can get that one. Those days are over. from top to bottom, this league is solid, great coaches. You're going to have to battle every single game.
One more dynamic I want to talk to you about before we let you go, and that is something that oftentimes is overlooked in the course of a season. But except for Pierre Curtis, you've got an entirely new assistant coaching staff down to and including your director of ops.
That's right.
So there's a chemistry that had to develop first between the coaches.
Right.
Then, players who've been used to other folks in those roles now are adjusting to new coaches and new roles. Did that take some time, or how quickly did all that come together?
You know what? The good thing about hiring good people is there's a chance you can lose them. So we lost Jessica Kern because she became a head coach at Mississippi Valley State, a Division I head coach. We lost Sean Poppy because he became a BCS assistant.
Most famous athlete at Mississippi Valley State.
Oh my gosh, he's a football player, and I know this. I'm gonna come back to it.
Okay.
Because someone told me. My mom has told me a million times. It's not Herschel Walker. Oh gosh.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. Oh gosh, I knew that. I was gonna come. Because we talked about it forever. So. And then I lost my director of ops because that's a position. That's a hard position to fill because they work crazy hours and their pay is not very high. So it's that entry level position. You just pray to get someone good. And this year I hit the gold mine, to be honest. I have, Karonica Randall, who came from Marshall. I shouldn't have her. And she's our associate head this year, and she's just the energy she brings and the toughness and the grit. Our girls love her. They absolutely love her. And then you have Krista Beachy, who this was actually the second time I interviewed her. I interviewed her 3 years ago for the director of ops spot, and I always knew she wanted to coach. So I kind of circled her name and knew that, I would always circle back around because I was really impressed with her. And she went to Kent State for a director of ops. And then when I had my assistant opening, I circled back immediately and just kind of kept an eye on her while she was at Kent State. Just great young talent that really gets after, knows the game really well, and kind of fills – every head coach wants to hire and fill some holes, and she has a background in like Princeton offense, which Sanford runs and stuff like that. That's been really refreshing. And then Rylan Atkins, her dad coaches for Washington. And so she but he used to be an assistant at University of Maryland, and I knew him really well. And I'm good friends with Brenda Freeze, and she called me immediately and said, "I have your director of ops." And I was like, "If you can stand Brenda Freeze, you can definitely work for me," because Brenda is tough, and she does a great job with everyone in her program. So as soon as everyone was on board, we meshed right away. It was really special. Our girls meshed right away with our entire staff. It's as far as on the court, during the transition, I coached post when I was an assistant. So Pierre stayed with the guards. I was able to step in a little bit more with the post players. So it wasn't as much as a transition. The staff really adapted to what I wanted, and so it wasn't too much of a drop off. And just the energy has been great. Scouts are great. We couldn't win any of these games without my assistants and the way they grind on their scouting reports. They know ins and outs of every team. They do a great job of putting that and instilling that in the girls. The girls know the in and outs in every team, and they're special. I really have a special staff. So I hate the end of the season because I just hold on to all their legs and pray to keep all of them as long as I can. But that's the thing about having a program that's on the rise. That's a small mid-major. Everyone starts coming after your staff. So I'm gonna beg Mike Buddy to throw something at him to try to keep him around as much as possible.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you because the assistants a lot of times don't get nearly as much credit as they deserve.
Absolutely.
For what goes on inside a program. It's all focused on the head coach, good and the bad.
Yes.
And that's what you sign up for.
That's right.
That's what you sign up for, but it takes the entire staff. All right, so second half of your conference season begins, and you're going to Western Carolina on Thursday.
Yeah, Western Carolina on Thursday. Very scary team, very athletic. They press, man zone. They have outstanding rebounders. Stephanie McCormick is in her second year, so she's trying to get that program going. But they're scary. They're very, very scary, especially at Western Carolina, and they play extremely well at home. They just to give you Mercer is tied for first in our league, and they started out against Mercer at Western Carolina 17-0 in the first quarter.
Nice.
Yes, but Mercer came back and ended up winning it. But that's the type of that's how capable Western Carolina is. And then you have Greensboro at Greensboro, and again, scary, scary, scary. They're very young, but they're very ruthless, and they rebound and they press, and they do all the things that teams don't like. So we have to go into those two venues. We got a tough road win against Sanford last week, and that took the lid off because we weren't winning on the road as much as we needed to. Wofford was our first road win at the beginning of the month. Then we turned around, we're able to do it again against Sanford. So we got to keep that trend going, and winning on the road is big.
Well, we will encourage folks to tune in online. Bryant Lambert will have the call of the game, and hope we can get the second half of the conference schedule off to a good start.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
That is women's coach Jackie Carson. We'll come back and put a wrap on today's edition of the show right after this. Williams Hardware, and you'll know.